The crowd outside the downtown subway station moves like a restless current, but she doesn't stop to breathe, doesn't dare to look back. The city is alive with the chaotic rhythm of car horns, vendors shouting and distant sirens, but her heartbeat is louder than everything else. Her fingers grip the edge of her tote bag like it is the last thing keeping her tethered to reality. Her chest rises sharply with each breath, every nerve in her body aware of the footsteps trailing her from a distance that is close enough to feel. She's been walking fast for 7 blocks now, cutting through the flow of strangers, blending in, but the sense of danger refuses to loosen its grip. It's not paranoia, it's real. 2 hours ago, she thought she'd just be heading home after a long, uneventful shift at the design studio. No drama, no danger, just the usual late train, headphones in, scrolling through messages. But now her world is shrinking into a single point of survival. Whoever that man is behind her, he's been matching her pace perfectly, never overtaking, never backing off. Every time she turns a corner, so does he. His reflection flashes against the glass of a passing bus, the outline of a hooded jacket and hands tucked in the pockets. It's not random, it's deliberate. Her pulse spikes as she crosses the street against the light, cars honking, tires screeching. The city doesn't care what she's running from. It never does. She blends into the crowd outside the busy bar on 9th Avenue, searching for a place to vanish. She needs something unexpected, something that throws him off. And then, out of nowhere, her eyes lock onto a stranger leaning casually against the glass wall of a corner cafe. Tall, sharp jawline, dressed in a tailored black coat that makes him look too composed for the chaos around him. He's not looking at her. He's looking at his phone. But in that single heartbeat, she knows exactly what she has to do. Without hesitation, she walks straight toward him. Her heart is pounding, her hands shaking, but she doesn't give herself a second to overthink. She reaches him in 3 strides, grabs his collar like she's known him all her life, and before his mind can even process it, her lips crash into his. It's not soft or slow, it's a desperate breath-stealing kiss, full of urgency and adrenaline. The stranger stiffens for half a second. Then something in his posture shifts. His hands move instinctively, gripping her waist like he's pulling her closer, playing along without asking why. To everyone passing by, they look like lovers lost in the moment. To her, it's survival. To him, it's the most unexpected interruption of his carefully controlled night. When she finally pulls back, her breath mixes with the cold air, and her eyes dart past his shoulder. The hooded man stops at the edge of the crowd, looks at them, then slowly melts into the moving sea of strangers. She's safe, for now. The stranger doesn't speak immediately. His gaze is intense, not confused, not angry, more like curious, almost too calm for someone who has just been kissed by a stranger in the middle of the city. His eyes linger on hers with the kind of quiet power that makes it hard to breathe. "Are you in trouble?" he asks finally, his voice smooth but firm, like he's used to people giving him answers. She nods, unable to find words, her throat tight with leftover fear. He doesn't push her. Instead, he gently steps to the side, shielding her from the street like it's second nature. "Stay close," he says, guiding her toward the cafe door. Inside, the warm air hits her skin, and for the first time in what feels like hours, she lets herself exhale. She slides into a booth near the corner, back to the wall, eyes scanning the window to make sure he's gone. The stranger orders something at the counter without asking her what she wants, but somehow it doesn't feel intrusive. It feels intentional. When he returns with 2 cups of coffee, she's still gripping the strap of her bag like a lifeline. "You kissed me," he says, not as an accusation, more like a fact he's turning over in his mind. Her cheeks burn with embarrassment. Someone was following me. I needed to make it look like I wasn't alone." He studies her like he's reading between the lines, not just hearing what she says, but what she's too scared to say out loud. "What did he look like?" he asks. She describes the hooded man in a trembling voice. He doesn't react visibly, but there's a subtle shift in his posture, the kind people have when they know danger too well. "You did the right thing," he says quietly, almost like he means it more than she expected. She should thank him and leave. That's what a normal person would do. But something about him makes it impossible to just walk away. Maybe it's the way his presence feels stable when everything else is shaking. Maybe it's the way he doesn't seem surprised by danger. Or maybe it's because he asks, looking at her not like she is a stranger, but like she just walked into something much bigger than she realizes. Outside, the wind picks up. She can see the reflection of city lights in the window, distorted and restless. The moment should end there. But it doesn't. Because when he finally tells her his name, it comes with the kind of calm certainty that has gravity. The kind that pulls people in without warning. "I'm Adrian," he says simply. "And whoever was following you, they won't get close again." It's not a question. It's a promise. She wants to ask him how he can be so sure. She wants to ask why his voice carries that quiet authority like he is used to being obeyed. But then a message lights up his phone screen, and for a split second, she sees a name she shouldn't recognize but does, because it is the same name that appeared on the anonymous messages she's been receiving for the past 3 nights. The air seems to freeze around her. She doesn't say a word, but her pulse pounds so loud it feels like everyone in the cafe can hear it. Adrian notices her reaction. His gaze sharpens, no longer just curious. "You know that name," he says slowly. She swallows hard, trying to hide the storm inside her. "Why is it on your phone?" she finally whispers. Adrian doesn't flinch. Instead, he leans slightly forward, his elbows on the table, the calm expression on his face transforming into something far more dangerous. "Because whoever's after you," he says softly, "is already after me too." The words land like a spark in dry air. Everything around them feels too quiet, too still, like the city is holding its breath. She didn't just kiss a stranger. She walked straight into the middle of something she doesn't understand yet, something that's already moving with or without her. He slides his phone face down on the table, his fingers brushing against the edge like a man who's always calculating his next move. "You need to tell me everything," he says, "right now." Her mind races. The anonymous texts, the black car parked outside her apartment 3 nights in a row, the sensation of being watched, always at the edges of her vision. She's tried to ignore it, to pretend it wasn't real. But now, sitting across from Adrian, she realizes that pretending isn't an option anymore. But there's something else she notices. The way his voice holds no fear. If anything, there's a kind of power in it, a control that feels unsettlingly deliberate. She can't tell if he's the only person who can protect her, or the one she should be afraid of most. As the night outside deepens, the cafe becomes quieter. 2 strangers, thrown together by danger, locked in a moment that feels too intense to make sense of. He doesn't break eye contact with her, not even for a second. She can feel the weight of everything shifting around her. She thought she kissed a stranger to disappear into the crowd. She didn't know she'd just collided with someone who might know more about her situation than she does. And the way Adrian watches her now, calm, calculating, unwavering, feels less like coincidence and more like fate cornering her with no way out. The air inside the cafe thickens with a tension that doesn't belong to ordinary nights. She can feel the weight of Adrian's gaze, steady and unyielding, as if he's trying to read through every wall she's built around herself. People around them chatter, the soft hum of music blends with the hiss of the espresso machine, but none of it reaches her anymore. It's just her, him, and the invisible thread of danger tightening with every heartbeat. She hesitates before speaking, knowing that once she opens her mouth, there's no going back. 3 nights ago, she begins, her voice quieter than she intended. I started getting messages. No number, no ID, just a name. The same one on your phone. I thought it was some kind of scam, maybe spam. But then someone started showing up outside my building. Black car, tinted windows, engine running, always parked at the same spot across the street. And then the footsteps. Always footsteps behind me. Tonight wasn't the first time. Adrian listens without interrupting, his fingers tapping against the coffee cup rhythmically. Not nervous tapping. Controlled. Precise. He doesn't look surprised by anything she's saying. He looks like someone connecting dots in a puzzle he's already partially solved. You said no number. Anonymous. But the messages... What did they say? She swallows hard, remembering the unease that crawled down her spine every time her phone buzzed. At first it was just my name. Over and over, like someone trying to remind me they knew me. Then it changed. You shouldn't have taken it. That's what the last message said. Adrian's tapping stops. A subtle flicker crosses his expression, gone almost as quickly as it appeared. Taken what? I don't know. Her voice comes out sharper than she expects, frustration mixing with fear. I don't even know what they're talking about. I don't have anything. I don't even know who they are. His gaze narrows slightly, and in that moment she realizes something unsettling. He believes her, but he also knows more than she does. You said you saw the same name on my phone, Adrian says calmly. That means whoever's after you isn't just following you. They're connected to something bigger, and they're not just watching. She leans back, her pulse quickening as a cold chill spreads through her chest. Why are they after you? She asks quietly. Adrian doesn't answer right away. He lifts his coffee cup, takes a slow sip and places it down with deliberate precision. Because I have something they want, he finally says. And apparently now they think you do too. The words hit her like a wave of ice water. She stares at him, trying to find cracks in his calm facade, anything that would tell her he's exaggerating. But Adrian isn't the kind of man who bluffs. This isn't random, he continues. They don't follow strangers for fun. If they've dragged you into this, it means either you saw something, or someone made you part of a game you didn't know existed. She shakes her head, her breath catching in her throat. I don't even know you. I kissed you because I was trying to survive, not because I wanted to get involved in whatever this is. Adrian tilts his head slightly, a faint smirk ghosting across his lips. Not amusement, but something closer to a challenge. You already are involved, he says softly, and pretending you're not won't change that. The storm outside intensifies, raindrops splattering against the windows, distorting the city lights into chaotic streaks of color. She hugs her arms around herself, her mind racing through every detail of the past few days. What if I just leave? She blurts out suddenly. What if I disappear, go somewhere far where no one can find me? Adrian leans forward, his voice low but firm, the kind of tone that doesn't leave room for fantasy. You think they won't find you? People like that don't lose track of what they want. If they've marked you, running won't save you. It'll only make you easier to corner. The gravity in his voice sinks deep into her bones. She realizes that whatever she stumbled into isn't something she can just walk away from. He reaches into the inner pocket of his coat and places a small, black device on the table. A sleek tracking detector, the kind she's only ever seen in tech thrillers. If they're following you, they might have planted something, Adrian says. Her breath catches as he leans slightly closer, his movements careful, practiced, like someone who's done this many times before. He activates the device, and within seconds, a faint beeping sound fills the silence. The closer he moves it toward her bag, the faster the beeping becomes. Her hands tremble as she unzips the bag, her heart pounding like it's trying to break through her ribs. Adrian reaches in and pulls out a tiny black chip no bigger than a fingernail, neatly tucked inside the lining near the zipper. It's the kind of thing an ordinary person would never notice. "They've been tracking you," he says flatly, holding the chip between his fingers. "This isn't some random stalker. This is organized." The air seems to drain out of the room. Her pulse roars in her ears, and for a moment, everything around her blurs. Adrian tosses the chip into his cup of water, short-circuiting it instantly. "They'll know they've lost signal," he mutters, "which means they'll move fast." She stares at him, her voice barely a whisper. "Who are you?" For the first time since she met him, Adrian doesn't give a smooth, calculated response. He exhales slowly, his jaw tightening slightly. "Someone who used to be part of the same world they come from," he says quietly, "and someone who's not letting them win again." Before she can press for details, Adrian's phone buzzes on the table. He picks it up, his eyes narrowing at the screen. No caller ID, a single message flashes. "We saw you." She feels her blood turn to ice. Adrian locks the phone, stands up, and reaches for her hand. "We can't stay here." Everything happens fast. 1 second she's sitting in the booth, the next she's being led through the side exit into the alleyway behind the cafe. Rain pours down, slicking the pavement with cold water. Adrian scans the street with quick, precise movements, like someone who's trained for this kind of tension. She clings to her bag, though part of her knows there's nothing safe left in it. "Where are we going?" she demands breathlessly. "Somewhere they can't reach us easily," Adrian replies without looking back. "For now, you don't ask too many questions. You stay close." The city blurs into a maze of wet streets, dim alleyways and passing headlights. He moves like he knows every turn, every shadow, every blind spot. She follows, not because she trusts him completely, but because the alternative is a darkness that's already closing in. After what feels like an eternity, they stop in front of a tall, nondescript building with no visible signs, just a black steel door and a single light above it. Adrian presses a code on a keypad, the lock clicks, and the door swings open silently. Inside, it's warm, quiet, too clean to be abandoned. She steps in hesitantly, her shoes squeaking against the polished floor. The space looks like a cross between a luxury apartment and a security bunker. Monitors line the walls, showing street cameras, building entrances, and what looks like live feeds from parts of the city she's never been to. Adrian locks the door behind them and sets down a wet umbrella. "You're safe here," he says. She turns to him, the shock starting to give way to a swirl of fear and disbelief. "You have cameras everywhere, a bunker, tracking detectors. You didn't just happen to be standing outside that cafe, did you?" Adrian meets her gaze without flinching. "No," he says simply. "I was waiting for someone." The air between them sharpens. A single realization lands heavy in her mind. "Me," she whispers. He doesn't confirm it. He doesn't have to. The silence stretches like a wire pulled too tight. She feels her hands trembling as she takes a step back, trying to make sense of the impossible. "Why me? I don't know anything. I don't have anything." Adrian moves closer. Not threateningly, but with a kind of gravity that makes it impossible to ignore him. "You have something they want, even if you don't know it yet," he says, "and whether you like it or not, you're now part of a war you didn't start." Her throat tightens as she meets his gaze. There's no room for pretending anymore, no way to walk back to the life she had just a few hours ago. She kissed a stranger to escape danger, but now that stranger is the only thing standing between her and a threat she can't even name. But beneath the fear, a new question starts to burn slowly inside her. If Adrian knew she was in danger before she kissed him, then why was he really waiting for her? And what exactly does he want in return for saving her life? The sound of the rain fades against the heavy silence of Adrian's safe house. It is strange how quickly a city can disappear once the door seals behind you. How the chaos of the streets becomes a distant hum when you step into someone else's hidden world. She stands near the wall of screens, staring at the flickering feeds of different streets, corners, buildings, and faces. It's not random surveillance. It's deliberate, methodical, like a web he's spun over the city. A web that somehow now includes her. She turns slowly to face him. Adrian leans casually against the edge of a counter, arms folded, rain still dripping from the edges of his black coat. But his eyes never relax. They track every move she makes, every twitch of uncertainty that flashes across her expression. There's no denying it now. He knew who she was long before she ever kissed him. "Say it," she breathes, voice low but shaking. "You were waiting for me." Adrian doesn't try to sugarcoat the truth. Yes, the bluntness hits harder than any lie could. She takes a shaky step back, her fingers brushing the cool metal surface of the table behind her. "Why?" Her voice cracks just enough to betray the fear simmering beneath the anger. "Why me?" Adrian straightens, his gaze steady, unwavering. "Because 3 weeks ago someone stole something from a network most people don't even know exists. A piece of data so sensitive that every major player in the city's underground started tearing each other apart to find it. That kind of thing doesn't just disappear, it leaves a trail. And at the end of that trail..." His eyes flick toward her, sharp as a blade. "Was you?" Her pulse spikes. "That's impossible. I didn't take anything. I don't even know what you're talking about." He moves closer, slowly, carefully, like someone approaching a cornered animal. "I believe you," he says. "But that doesn't change the fact that something ties you to what they want. Maybe someone used you. Maybe you saw something you didn't understand. Maybe it's buried somewhere without your knowledge. But whether you're aware of it or not, they think you have it." She presses a hand to her forehead, her mind spinning. The anonymous messages, the black car, the man following her. It all fits together in a way she doesn't want to admit. "And you," she says bitterly, "you were just waiting to swoop in and what? Use me as bait?" His jaw tightens slightly. "No, I was waiting to make sure they didn't get to you first." She lets out a humorless laugh. "That's supposed to make me feel better?" "It's supposed to keep you alive," he replies sharply. The calm mask cracks just enough for her to glimpse the steel beneath. "You think I wanted this? I didn't. But once your name showed up on that list, I didn't have a choice." The weight of his words sinks deep. She realizes with a shiver that whatever world Adrian belongs to isn't the same as hers. This isn't a case of bad luck or wrong place, wrong time. This is bigger, colder, dangerous. She crosses her arms tightly around herself, as if she could hold her life together with just her own hands. "So what now? You keep me here like some kind of prisoner?" Adrian steps closer, close enough for her to catch the faint scent of rain on his coat. "No," he says softly, "but if you walk out that door, you won't make it very far. They know your face now. They know your patterns. They'll find you before sunrise." She stiffens, the truth of it hitting like a punch to the chest. "You're asking me to trust you," she whispers. "I'm not asking," Adrian says. "I'm telling you the truth. You don't have to trust me. You just have to survive." The screens flicker. Adrian moves to the control panel, his hands working quickly as new feeds come online. "They're moving faster than I thought," he mutters. She steps closer, her eyes locking on one of the screens. 3 dark SUVs idling near the cafe where they'd been less than an hour ago. Men in black jackets step out with coordinated precision, sweeping the area like professionals. This isn't random street-level trouble. This is organized, disciplined, and terrifying. "Who are they?" she asks, her voice tight. "They call themselves the Ark Collective," Adrian says, his tone clipped. They're not some gang. They don't leave trails, they don't make noise. They take what they want, and if anyone gets in their way, they disappear. Her stomach twists. And now they think I have what they want. Exactly. Adrian taps a key, zooming in on one of the faces captured on the feed. That's their enforcer, he says. The man on the screen has sharp features, clean-cut hair, and a scar running from his temple down to his jaw. If he's here, this isn't a small operation. They're serious. Her knees feel weak. She backs away from the screens, her breath quickening. She's just a designer, an ordinary woman who's never been in anything remotely close to this kind of danger. And now, somehow, she's the center of a storm she doesn't understand. Adrian turns to her, his expression unreadable. We have two choices, he says. Either we disappear before they close the net, or we fight back. She lets out a disbelieving laugh. Fight back? Against people who hunt like this? You're insane. Insane, he replies calmly, is thinking they'll stop if we just hide. They won't. And the longer you run, the more dangerous this gets. The way he speaks, the certainty in his voice, it's both terrifying and strangely grounding. He's not guessing. He's lived this before. She doesn't want to trust him, but when the alternative is being hunted by people who don't leave witnesses, trust stops being a luxury. A vibration in her bag cuts through the silence. Her phone. Her blood runs cold. She pulls it out slowly, the screen glowing with an unknown number. Adrian's gaze sharpens instantly. Put it on speaker, he says quietly. She hesitates, then answers. At first there's only static. Then a voice, smooth and calm, like someone enjoying a game. You should have stayed still. Her heart stops. The voice continues. Running only makes it more fun. We'll find you soon. And when we do, your new friend won't be able to save you. The line goes dead. Her hands shake so hard she nearly drops the phone. Adrian takes it gently from her, presses a button and tosses it into a metal box on the counter. They can track calls, he says. We don't use that again. She stares at him, barely breathing. They know. They've always known, Adrian replies. The difference is now they've made their move. The room feels smaller now, like the walls are pressing in. She's not just scared anymore. She's cornered. Adrian steps closer, his voice softer this time, less like a strategist, and more like a man who knows what fear does to people. I can keep you safe, he says, but I need your trust. Her instinct screams not to. She barely knows him, but another part of her, the part that's seen the men in SUVs, heard the threat in that voice, knows that walking away isn't an option. She nods once, shaky but certain. Adrian exhales slowly, like he's been waiting for that moment. Good, he says. Then we move. Move where? Somewhere they won't expect, somewhere only I know. She hesitates, searching his face for any sign of a trap. But all she sees is the cold determination of someone who is already decided to fight this war. Against her better judgment, she follows him out of the room, down a steel staircase, and into what looks like an underground garage. A sleek black car waits in the corner, the engine already running. Adrian slides into the driver's seat without looking back. She climbs in on the passenger side, every instinct screaming at her to stay alert. The city outside is soaked in rain and darkness, every corner feeling like a potential threat. As they pull out of the garage, she can't help but ask, "Why are you doing this for me? You don't even know me." Adrian's jaw tightens as he merges into the empty street. "Because someone has to," he says, but his tone suggests there's more to it. A shadow in his voice. A past he's not ready to explain. Minutes stretch into an hour as they drive deeper into the outskirts of the city. The skyline fades behind them, replaced by long stretches of industrial roads and abandoned warehouses. She glances at him sideways. He looks focused, not scared, like a man who's done this before. Finally, he turns down a narrow road that ends at a hidden gate. He enters a code, and the steel barriers slide open with a low rumble. The place beyond isn't what she expects. It's not just a safe house, it's a fortress. Armed security systems, reinforced walls, multiple vehicles parked inside, and silence. Thick, deliberate silence. She turns to him slowly. "What is this place?" Adrian kills the engine and looks at her, his gaze cutting straight through every wall she's tried to build. "This," he says quietly, "is where we stop being the prey." The weight of those words hangs heavy between them. She realizes this isn't just about hiding anymore. Adrian has a plan, a dangerous one, and somehow she's part of it now. But as they step into the cold, silent compound, a single thought lingers in the back of her mind, louder than anything else. She still doesn't know why he is willing to risk everything for her. And the look in his eyes when he closes the gate behind them suggests that whatever his reasons are, they're far more personal than he asks letting on. The compound feels like another world. The sound of the city is gone, replaced by a stillness that doesn't feel empty, more like the kind that watches. Every step echoes softly against the concrete floor, and the faint hum of security systems pulses through the air like a quiet heartbeat. She follows Adrian down a narrow hallway, her eyes flicking over the reinforced walls, the biometric locks on every door, and the subtle but unmistakable presence of a security grid she knows she's not supposed to notice. This place isn't a safe house someone built on a whim. It's designed for war. Adrian stops in front of a heavy steel door at the end of the corridor and scans his palm against a small panel. A soft click echoes, the door unlocking with smooth precision. Inside, the room is unexpectedly warm. Not warm in temperature, warm in atmosphere. Wooden shelves line one wall, filled with books that look well read. A fire flickers quietly inside a built-in stone hearth. It doesn't fit the man she met on the street, the one whose world seems made of edges and sharp turns. But that's the thing about Adrian. Nothing about him ever fits cleanly. He gestures toward the couch. "Sit. We need to talk." The way he says it isn't a suggestion. She sits, keeping her hands clenched in her lap to stop them from shaking. He remains standing for a moment, watching her with that measured calm that makes her skin buzz with unease. Finally, he lowers himself into the chair across from her. The firelight flickers across his face, carving shadows that make his expression even harder to read. "You're not here by accident," Adrian says quietly. "None of this is." She forces out a shaky breath. "Then tell me the truth." He nods slowly, like he's been expecting those words. The Ark Collective isn't after a random piece of stolen data. What they want is called the Aries key. It's a digital access chain that can override secure networks, government networks, corporate systems, anything. Whoever controls it controls everything that depends on those systems. That includes defense grids, banking systems, power. The world doesn't run on laws anymore, it runs on access. The room seems to tilt slightly, the words landing heavier than she expected. "And you're saying they think I have this key?" "They don't think," Adrian replies. "They know you were the last person near the system before the breach." Her stomach drops. "That's insane." "I work in a design studio, Adrian. I make presentations and draft layouts for billboards. I don't even have access to anything like that." "Not directly," he says, leaning forward slightly, his elbows on his knees. "But someone close to you does, or did. This isn't about your job, it's about proximity. You were in the building where the breach started. Your name showed up on a trace log that should have been erased. That's why they're after you." Her mind races through the last few weeks. Every face at the office, every harmless hallway conversation, every late-night project. "You're saying someone framed me?" Adrian nods slowly. "Or used you without your knowledge. Either way, they'll do whatever it takes to find you. Because if they get the key, they don't just win. Everyone else loses. She presses a hand against her mouth, her pulse hammering. "And you?" she asks softly. "Where do you fit into this?" His gaze hardens for the first time. "I used to work for the Ark Collective." The room freezes. It's one thing to know he's dangerous. It's another to hear him say it. "Used to," she repeats slowly, the words scraping against the back of her throat. "Yes, I was part of their inner ring until I realized what they planned to do with the key. They don't just want power, they want control, complete, untraceable control. They'll shut down cities to make governments kneel, and they'll kill anyone who stands in their way." "Why leave?" she asks. Adrian's jaw flexes. "Because I didn't want to be the kind of man who destroys the world to own it." For the first time since meeting him, she sees a crack in his armor, a flicker of something raw behind his steady exterior. It's there and gone in a heartbeat, but it is enough to make her realize he is not just a player in this game. He's a defector, a target, just like her. He leans back, hands clasped loosely. "They've been hunting me since the day I walked away. But now they think you and I are connected, and they're not wrong." Her breath catches. What does that mean? It means we don't get to be strangers anymore. The words hang heavy between them. She looks at him, really looks at him, not as the man who caught her in a moment of panic outside a cafe, but as someone whose life is built around shadows, choices, and debts he can't erase. And somewhere deep inside her, beneath the fear, something shifts. Because as terrifying as this is, she believes him. "I'll help you find whoever did this," she whispers. Adrian's expression softens in a way she's never seen before. "You don't have to." "I know, but I can't keep running." His eyes lock onto hers, steady and intense. "Then we do this my way. No hesitation, no second guessing. If you're in, you're in." She nods slowly, her throat tight but her voice steady. "I'm in." Adrian stands, reaching for a small black case on the shelf. Inside is a neatly organized array of tech, encrypted drives, ID scramblers, micro-trackers. He starts explaining what's about to happen. They'll go dark, move to an off-grid location, and track down the breach trail from the inside. She won't just be hiding anymore. She'll be part of the counter-strike. But before they can leave, he hands her a slim matte black band and places it around her wrist. It fits like it was made for her. "What is this?" she asks. "A signal disruptor," Adrian explains. "They can't trace you while you're wearing it, as long as you stay within 20 feet of me." Her eyes flick up. "So I can't go anywhere without you." He doesn't smile, but there's something dangerously close to it. "Exactly." The fire crackles softly between them. She should be terrified. And she is. But there's something else threading through her fear now, something she doesn't want to name. The way Adrian moves. The way he looks at her like every detail matters. The way he says we like it's already written in stone. A soft alarm breaks the moment. Adrian crosses the room in 2 strides, scanning one of the hidden monitors near the door. A faint blip pulses on the perimeter. "They've found the decoy car," he mutters. "They're closer than I thought." Her pulse spikes. "What do we do?" "We make our move first." The next hour unfolds like a sequence she can barely keep up with. Adrian leads her through hidden tunnels beneath the compound, emerging in an underground garage connected to a service road no map would show. A matte gray SUV waits, engine humming quietly. The second they're inside, he kills the lights and pulls out with surgical precision, weaving through back routes she didn't even know existed. Outside, the night is a blur of wet asphalt and dim streetlights. She watches the reflection of passing buildings slide across the window, her mind struggling to keep up with how fast her world has changed. Just 24 hours ago, she was a woman walking home after work. Now, she's in the passenger seat of a ghost car, running from an organization that wants the most dangerous piece of data on the planet. But in the midst of the chaos, there's one question that won't leave her alone. "You said they think you and I are connected," she says quietly. "Why? Why would they assume that?" Adrian doesn't look away from the road. His knuckles tighten on the wheel. "Because the person who stole the key used your identity to do it." Her chest tightens. "What?" He glances at her then, just a flick of his eyes, but it's enough to make her feel the full weight of what he's saying. "Someone forged your credentials during the breach. That's why the trail ends at you. That's why they'll never stop." Her breath comes shallow and fast. Someone stole her life on paper, her name, her identity. And now, everyone who wants the key believes she's the one who has it. "They framed me," she whispers. "I'm a target because of something I didn't even do." "Yes," Adrian says quietly. "But now that you're in this, they'll come at you like you did." Silence fills the SUV, thick and heavy. She presses her palms against her thighs, trying to anchor herself in the here and now. Adrian's voice cuts through the darkness. "You're not alone anymore. They want a ghost. They'll get a fight." For reasons she can't explain, those words settle inside her like a spark finding fuel. She's still terrified, but she's no longer powerless. The car slows as they approach a nondescript warehouse near the edge of the city. It looks abandoned, but when Adrian punches in a code on a hidden panel, the gate lifts soundlessly. Inside, the space is cold, vast, and dark, except for a single table in the center where files and digital blueprints are spread out like a war map. He turns to her, eyes steady. "This is where we start turning the tables." She stares at the table, at the faces and diagrams and names she doesn't understand yet. She's not trained for this. She's not built for this world. But Adrian is. And for some reason she can't quite name, she believes he'll get her through it, or die trying. But beneath all the tension and danger, there's another shift happening. Subtle, dangerous, emotional. Because every time his hand brushes hers when they move through this storm, every time his voice lowers to steady her, every time he looks at her like she's already part of something larger than fear, she feels herself being pulled closer to him. And she can't tell whether that's protection or something far more dangerous. The air inside the private estate feels unnaturally still, like the calm right before a storm breaks everything wide open. Her hands tremble, though she's doing everything she can to keep her face unreadable. The chandeliers above her glow like captured stars, elegant and warm. But nothing about this night feels safe. Adrian stands across from her, his black suit tailored like armor, his gaze locked on her with the intensity of someone who doesn't flinch, not from danger, not from love, not from anything. The weight of everything that led her here presses down on her chest like gravity has doubled. She kissed him to escape. Now she's standing in his world, where nothing is random and every move is calculated. Dozens of eyes are watching from the edge of the ballroom, but none of them matter as much as the man standing just a few feet away. His hand is still resting at his side, ring box glinting faintly in the golden light, an image so surreal it almost doesn't feel real. She never thought it would come to this, a proposal that feels like both protection and a trap. The night outside rages with wind, rattling the glass like it wants to warn her. But inside, Adrian's voice cuts through the silence like a blade. "This isn't just about keeping you safe anymore," he says slowly, carefully, like every word has been measured before it leaves his mouth. "This is about ending this, once and for all." Her throat tightens. "By marrying me," she whispers. His jaw flexes slightly, but his eyes soften just a fraction. "By making it impossible for them to get to you again. By making sure they understand exactly who you stand with." His words are sharp, but layered with something dangerous underneath. Something that's not just strategy. It's possession, protection, and something even she can't fully name yet. She can feel every heartbeat echoing in her ears. It's not a fairy tale. It's war disguised in a tuxedo. Her mind flashes back to everything. The man in the hood, the texts, the night in the cafe, the cold stare of the man she saw in that black car. Every step brought her closer to this moment, and now she realizes none of it was accidental. Adrian has been a storm slowly pulling her in. "Why me?" she finally asks, the question she's been holding back like a dam ready to burst. He steps closer, his movements slow but deliberate. "Because they came for you," he says softly. "And because I don't let anyone take what's mine." The words hit her like a shiver down her spine. There's no apology in his voice, just certainty. She should step back, she should run. But she doesn't. Something about him terrifies her and draws her closer at the same time. "This isn't a game," she says shakily. "I don't belong in your world." Adrian tilts his head slightly, the ghost of a smirk barely tugging at the corner of his mouth. "You walked into it the moment you kissed me." The music from the string quartet echoes faintly through the marble hall, delicate and haunting. Behind Adrian, she catches sight of two of his security men exchanging a quick, tense glance before one of them moves toward the hallway. Something's happening outside. Her instincts tighten like a wire being pulled too hard. Adrian notices it too. His eyes flick sharply toward the corridor, and in that instant the softness in him is gone, replaced by the cold, precise power of a man who built walls no one can climb. One of the guards whispers something in his ear, and his entire expression hardens. "They're closer than I thought," he mutters, more to himself than to her. He turns back, and for the first time since she met him, there's a flicker of urgency beneath the control. "We're not waiting anymore." She takes a step back. "Adrian, what are you talking about?" His hand reaches for hers, not rough, not soft either, firm. "If we don't act now, they'll act first." The ballroom doors swing open. Two figures in black step inside, not guests, not friends. Adrian's security reacts instantly, surrounding them, weapons hidden but ready. The tension in the room turns electric, the kind that tastes like metal in the back of your mouth. And right in the middle of it, she is standing between danger and the one man who seems to already be a part of it. Adrian steps in front of her without hesitation, his shoulders squared like he's been preparing for this moment for years. "Get her out of here," he orders sharply. She's pulled toward the back exit, but something in her refuses to look away. She can hear every second stretch long and heavy. The men in black don't seem surprised to see him. If anything, they seem to know him. And that terrifies her more than anything else. One of them speaks, voice smooth and too confident. "You can't protect her forever, Adrian." Her heart slams against her ribs. Adrian's jaw tightens. "I don't need forever," he says. "I just need tonight." The next few seconds unfold like they're carved in slow motion. Security moves in. Adrian's voice cuts through the chaos like steel. And she's shoved into a black SUV waiting outside, the door slamming shut behind her as the driver speeds down the dark road. Her hands are shaking too hard to hold her phone. Outside, the city lights blur into streaks, like the night itself is running with her. "Where is he?" she demands. But no one answers. All she can hear is the sound of tires cutting through rain-soaked streets. She should feel safe inside the armored car. She doesn't. Because safety and Adrian don't live in the same sentence. He's not a hero. He's a man with power, and men with power always have their own wars to fight. She presses her forehead against the cold window, her mind spinning with everything she's seen, everything she's learned. He's protecting her, yes, but he's also part of something much bigger. Something she's not sure she'll survive if she stays too close. The car stops at a secluded property, high walls, guarded gates, cameras tracking every inch. She's led inside, but she stops at the door. "Where is he?" she asks again, louder this time. The guard hesitates before answering, handling it. 2 words. That's all. Her stomach twists. She knows exactly what handling it means in his world. It means no one walks away clean. She paces the hallway, every second scraping against her nerves. Then, hours later, or maybe just minutes, time has lost meaning. The doors open, and Adrian walks in. His tie is gone, his shirt slightly undone, and there's a dark smear of blood near his collar. Not his. His expression is carved from stone. He closes the door behind him, and when his eyes meet hers, everything stops. No words, no noise, just the unbearable weight of what he's become in her life. She takes a step forward, then another, like gravity is making the choice for her. "What did you do?" she whispers. His answer is simple, quiet, lethal. "What I had to." She wants to hate him, she wants to scream, but beneath the fear, beneath the chaos, there's a truth she can't run from anymore. He didn't just protect her, he claimed her without asking, and a part of her, a dark, dangerous part, didn't resist. Adrian steps closer, slow and deliberate, like a storm closing in. "They're gone," he says softly. "They won't touch you again." Her chest tightens. And what happens now? His fingers brush the side of her face, not rough but too intense to ignore. "Now," he says, voice low, "you stay where you're safe." She lets out a shaky breath. "Safe? With you?" His mouth curves slightly, but there's no humor in it. "With me," he says, "or not at all." The silence stretches between them, thick and unyielding. It's not love. Not yet. But it's something magnetic. Something dangerous. Something she can't name. The walls of his world are closing around her, not like a prison, but like a fortress with no way out. And then, almost too quietly, he says it again. The same words that started this spiral. "Marry me." This time it's not a shield. It's not a strategy. It's a vow, a claim, a warning. She stares at him, at the man she barely knew weeks ago but now can't imagine escaping. Her pulse is a drum against the silence. The air between them burns. She doesn't say yes. She doesn't say no, but she doesn't step back either. And in Adrian's world, silence is its own kind of answer. Far away, the city is waking up to another cold morning, unaware that 2 lives have already been rewritten under its watch. She kissed a stranger to escape danger. Now, the stranger is the danger. And maybe, just maybe, he's also the only one who'll keep her breathing.